Before I start this video, I just want to tell you this is not a review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This video will contain spoilers, and although there is the word disappointing in the title of this video, that doesn't automatically mean that the movie is bad. Watch the whole video for the context. And the last thing, my voice is not very good because I'm sick, so sorry about that. And now let's get started with the video. Every once in a while there comes out a movie by a director you absolutely love and you're like hyped beyond belief, like this is going to be the best movie ever. You go to the premiere to see it and you leave the cinema and it isn't really the best movie ever. It is not really the best movie by this director, but you're like left with a feeling like, yeah, this was not as good, but it was certainly something different. It happened to me when I watched Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk like 2 years ago, I think, because when Nolan is one of my favorite directors, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. And when I left the cinema, I was left with this feeling of like, this wasn't a typical Nolan movie. Like, Nolan movies are usually with some grand ideas, and generally they're like very interesting in that sense that they left you thinking. But when I watched Dunkirk, I watched this story about a couple of soldiers trying to survive this terrible event. And although I didn't love it as much as some other movies, I thought it was a good movie and I appreciated that Nolan tried something completely different from his usual stuff. Now, 2 years forward, I'm going to cinema to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I have this thought in my head like that the same thing could happen. And for the most runtime of the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I was like, this is certainly not your usual Tarantino film, and it is very like slow paced. There is no witty dialogue, but I enjoyed his vision because he really tried something different. He went a bit more with character development and characters, and then comes the last 10 minutes of the movie, and it all falls down because of the one scene that will remain the most memorable scene of this movie in both good and bad way. But I'll start with the bad way, because I'm obviously talking about this whole hippie slaughter scene. And why I don't like it? Well, as I said, like for the 2.5 hours of this movie was something completely different. Like this very, for Tarantino, kind of grounded story, like not so witty, not so fast, very slow paced. We are watching characters just like doing stuff with no real direction for the plot. And then comes this scene. And I think, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think that this scene came because Tarantino was afraid that we won't like this movie because it's so different from his usual stuff. Because he knows us, he knows that we are the sick bastards who love watching hippie girls' face get demolished with every object in like one actors in 60s living room. Like, he knows that we are psychos who love watching his movies because of those things and his incredibly fast-paced witty dialogue. So I think like he, at one point of the movie, like he is like, will they really love it if I don't add something like this? And he added it, and I think that for me, like after that scene, the movie just ended, and that is the scene you'll see the last, and you kind of forget everything that happened before that scene. For me, that is not really a good closure for such story, like that slow-paced, people just hanging out story. That being said, the scene was bullshitly awesome. Like, it was such a great scene to watch Brad Pitt take this girl's face, just slam it, phone, table, glass, everything. And then other girl that he previously hit with a can, she's like panicking and shooting everything. And then she goes to the pool and DiCaprio's character is like, fucking hippies. And he goes into house and you're like, what is he doing? And then you see the flamethrower and he bursts her and it is bullshit, it is great. Like the whole cinema laughed because it was classic Tarantino scene. Like that is the scene that we'll remember the most from that movie. Other than that scene, the scene that for me is very divisive, movie was very well directed. He really managed to maintain that 60s feel, and generally like cinematography, technical stuff all very well done. But the standouts in this movie for me are obviously Brad Pitt and DiCaprio's characters, who I think really carry this movie. Like, without them it would be boring, but they're so interesting, and their performances, especially like DiCaprio in this scene when he's playing this Western villain, and Brad Pitt when he's on drugs. Like, these scenes were really great acting, like on two completely different performances, but like wonderful, wonderful nevertheless. And those are the things I liked very much. The other thing that I didn't like in the movie was the character of Margot Robbie. She plays the actress Sharon Tate, and for those of you who don't know, Sharon Tate was actually like in the real life killed by those hippies that appear at the end of this movie. And Tarantino, like in Inglourious Basterds, he altered the history. And I don't know like what to think about altering the history. Like I don't really have an opinion about that. Like is it good, bad? But I think that Margot Robbie's character was underdeveloped, especially compared to DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters. And I really don't see her like why is she even in this movie? Like I feel I when the scenes cut to her, I was like always like, can we just get back to those two? And that is a real bummer because Margot Robbie is great actress. So yep, that's what I have to say about my other negative things. So yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is not a movie that left me disappointing because it wasn't as interesting or as good as other Tarantino movies. It left me disappointed because I think that the creator of the movie didn't go fully with his vision, that he was afraid of people not liking his vision. But to be honest, sir, like Tarantino, like he did so much for us, like made so many great movies that I'll give him that. For me, I'm not really that angry if he tries something different. So yeah, this is what I wanted to tell you about this movie. Next video will come probably for a couple, maybe 2 weeks, because I'm going on a vacation. And till then, have a nice day. Bye.